All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is June 16th, 2018. This is a Saturday morning webinar, and today we're going to talk about my favorite trade setups. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we have, our live trading room or anything else, should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Is that audio about right? It was a little low, somebody said. Is it okay now? All right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get into the start of today's webinar. And be sure and remember too, though, that this is also a webinar for support, and you're welcome to ask any questions you would like, okay? And I'll be happy to answer them. And I'm going to start off, any week that we do a webinar, we've got, new people or possibly, trial people, things like that. And so I'm going to go over a little bit of how we trade this, and then we'll get into my favorite trades. All right, let's see. Good deal. You got your predictors fixed, Mindy? All right, let's go ahead and show the chart. Now, what I want everybody to see, and I think this is super important, okay, is you want to think about identified swings. Everybody knows that, that's been with us a while. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to show you a little chart here that I've got. Keep in mind that Lightning 3 is just a little bit larger chart because you're looking at a 4-range chart with about with a 15 swing strength, but it doesn't take 15 full bars to make a swing, because bars don't ever go straight up, very, very seldom anyway. Occasionally you might see 15 bars in a row, but it's not very often. Okay. But, to actually draw lightning, it has to do the thrust and retrace and thrust and retrace and so on. Okay. But what you want to do is you want to make Lightning 3 literally become your best friend, okay? Because if you actually utilize Lightning 3 on what I consider to be the identified Lightning 3, you're going to make more money trading than you have in the past. Because I hear too many times that people will tell me, that, gosh, I was long on this and the silly thing just tanked on me. Well, that's because, you're going against the overall trend, and you should be in scout mode if you're doing that. But just a real quick heads up for new people and also members in the room. By looking at this chart right now, what is the overall trend? And of course, even though this Lightning 3 is green right here, see Lightning 3 is green, that is not identified lightning. Now, that's something that I may even add to this thing, maybe a second power meter, talk with the program or something like that, because what happens a lot of times is you get this right here. You had a huge thrust down, and then you start getting a little bit of a retrace and you get a higher low, okay? But they're not really heading up until they take this out, and you also want to be careful because you want it to actually thrust up something pretty nice even. Let's go ahead and let's do a white arrow on it. All right, you want it to thrust up and you want it to retrace, and then you want it to head up if it's going to head up, okay? Now, that's what you'd be looking for. Now, when I'm going to talk about my favorite trades today, this is going to be based on a lot of that. Notice on Friday that I didn't even take, a trade on crude oil, remember? Because I had already been in it from earlier, until it actually broke. And, that's what you want to get in the habit of doing, is wait for the trade to come to you. Okay. Now, if this doesn't happen, obviously, then we could still head down, and that's, can happen quite often. But where is the identified swing on this chart on Lightning 3? And I'm going to show you here real quick. Okay. Your identified swing is right here. Okay, see how you have a high, a low, a lower high, barely lower low. I don't even count this swing at the time. But if I do get a lower one, then I do count it if it takes it out. okay, because this was just a little chop sideways at the time. But isn't this your swing? You know, you have a high here, you broke support, and you've got a low here. So for this to ever change trends, to me anyway, and to get these really big, nice moves, they would have to break this right here. Okay. Now, does that mean that I won't scalp it in the meantime? No. But, you know, for you to really jump in and trade with the trend, that's really what you want it to do. Okay. Now, if it was to do this, you know, get a thrust, a retrace, and break here and then come back and kiss, and you could box it, then you could even get in down in here. Okay. And keep in mind that you might just hit your head at resistance, right? Okay. Anybody not understand that? Because personally, I think that identified swings are the most important thing a person can learn in their trading, because it's either stair-stepping down or it's stair-stepping up. Even when it's sideways, it's still stair-stepping down or up. As a rule, you'll be able to see the lightning 3 swings. Either, you know, numbers are heading down or numbers are heading up. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and look at this chart then. And remember to trade with the trend for your best trades. I was on the phone with one of our members yesterday, and while we were actually talking, you know, I drew some lines on my chart and called out an area that, you know, Russell would actually bounce. And if you were trading Russell yesterday, you would know that it actually, you know, not only bounced at a perfect 61% retracement, but headed up exactly to a box. And I'm going to show you how to draw that box, because I called that before I went out to finish mowing the yard and things like that, and didn't take the trade, but it was a 100-tick trade. Should have just put it on, but unfortunately, I don't usually, you know, put trades on and then go outside just in case there was some kind of a glitch or something like that. Okay, so let's go to the chart and let's see what's going on right now. I'm going to take this down. Oh, and first I'm going to go over, and we may not be able to get all of these done this time, but we'll have to do another webinar and get them done. But this is actually right here some of my favorite trades. And by the way, you don't have to memorize each one of these trades. But if you do learn them, you know, just kind of add one to your repertoire. And then if you can, you know, keep up with the others, add another one. And this is not necessarily in any kind of order. It's just the type of trades that I actually look for. Okay, and I may have even missed some. I'd have to actually, you know, go through a trading day. I tried to remember every single trade that I look for, and, you know, that's them. You know, to give an example, a mid-band by rules. Okay, when I say by rules, you know, we're talking about, you know, not taking 2 mid-band trades unless you ratchet up for a long or down for a short. You don't want to, you know, for instance, let's say that you get a beautiful pullback in the mid-band. Okay. And then, you know, you get a nice little trade, but it never takes out the low. And then you decide to box it in again, like under mid-band for a short or above for a long. And you notice that you don't get anything. As a matter of fact, you give up what you just made on your other trade. And that's because you've got to wait for these trades to actually do that stair-stepping motion. Let's see. Are there videos on each of your favorite trades? No, Hardy, there's really not. This one today is basically going to go over, you know, quite a few of these. I'll leave this on the screen for a minute, and of course on the video you can pause it, so it's no big deal to pause. You know, this one here is the one I was talking to one of our members yesterday as it was happening, and talked about a leg 3 trade, and I mean, it hit just beautifully. I was kind of disappointed I didn't take it, because with one contract you wouldn't have killed yourself if you'd have just, you know, put a 25-tick stop and gone outside and mowed the yard and come back and go, whoa, look at that. But you don't know that. I mean, you know, some news could come in from North Korea or something like that, or economic news, and that market could literally just drop like a stone, or, you know, whatever. So I don't personally recommend trading when you're not at the computer. It's up to you. It's your money. But, you know, I don't personally like that. Okay. So we're going to go over quite a few of these trades. So I'm going to get this out of the way for just a minute, and we'll go over some of these. Bear with me a second. Now, judging by what I just said, on the trade that we're looking at, okay? Bear with me a second. I'll get it up again one more time. Okay, we said by looking at this that we're in a downtrend, right? We're definitely in a downtrend. Okay, so what we're looking for is we're looking for retracements, mid-band trades, and even one of my other favorite trades you saw in there was Phantom. Okay, now Phantom, I've gone over this in the room quite a few times. Okay, but this is important to know, what a Phantom trade is, and there are new people. Okay, so when you're taking a Phantom trade, always remember that you have to go from one extreme, short to long, to give an example, Phantom trade. Okay, then long to short for a Phantom, and this one never really panned out because you didn't actually, if you boxed it, it never rolled over. So even though this was a first time into Phantom after a trend change also, if you box and you trade, you never got that trade. Then you went long and you're looking for first time into Phantom, and that one actually worked. That went up to mid-band. Now, keep in mind that Phantom, as a rule, can be a trend change, but it's not always a trend change. Okay? And if you trade with the overall trend, you're going to find yourself in a lot better trades to begin with. Okay? Now, this went from long mid-band to short mid-band, and now you're looking for the first Phantom after that. Now, will this one work out? Well, we're not going to just take it willy-nilly. Now, I usually do like to take it if it actually kisses the shadow area, because you can put a real tight stop on it. To give you an example, if you were to take this trade, you could have a box drawn like this, let's say, and if it even closed back outside that box, you could go ahead and trigger that trade. Now, the reason for that is because that's a legitimate Phantom that actually even went between line 6 and line 7, and we're looking for a rollover. Everybody see that? This trade right here has a tendency of making you a lot of money. Okay? Because first time into Phantom and first times into mid-bands are actually two of the best trades that you'll find. To give an example here, you've got a long trend. You finally go to red background. There's a mid-band trade. There's a mid-band trade. There's a mid-band trade. Okay? Notice that this one's a good mid-band trade, and it did do what you wanted it to do. Let's say that obviously you can't see things ahead of time. So let's say you're looking at this and you're boxing it in. Okay, so you got a little swing across there, so you're kind of boxing it right there for right now. If it goes up higher than mid-band, you simply bring your box up like so, and then if it goes down below it, you get the trade. Okay, but if it does not ratchet down, and this is extremely critical, if this does not take out this swing right here, you are not looking for another. Let's say, for instance, that you saw it come back up to predictor and it didn't come to mid-band and you boxed it. Well, guess what? You might only get 3 or 4 ticks because it never ratcheted down. Anytime they quit ratcheting down, you don't want to do these mid-bands. See this mid-band? It had a ratchet down, mid-band, ratchet down, below support, mid-band. This one's a little iffy, but it did ratchet down. See how it took out that low? That's a legitimate mid-band. Okay? Now, you can decide how much you want it to ratchet below. And I don't personally like this one as much because, see, that only ratcheted down 3 ticks from this low. But I would still box that trade in and take it. Okay? Pardon me, this one here. I would still box this one in and take it. It turned out to be a very good trade. Okay? Now, this one, when you come down, you don't take out the low and then you start ratcheting back up, your stop could be right there when it breaks lightning. You don't have to wait for it to go all the way back to the top. You could wait for it to kiss like a resistance area, but when they start stair-stepping, you just get out of the trade. Okay? And now you're still looking short, but you're looking short at a Phantom. When they don't ratchet down, to give an example on a short, then you're usually going to get a higher trade that'll still roll over, and that's that Phantom trade. And it's the same thing on a long trade. Let me find a good long one right here. See this right here? This is a good thrust up, took out swings to the left and everything. This is a deep bar probe. This is a phantom trade. Okay. And you just simply either wait for it to touch phantom completely, that's line 1, or to pop back up above line 2 if it does get down in here, or draw a trend line even. You can literally draw a good trend line on these type of trades too. See, like that, and then you get that trade. Okay, but wouldn't this be better actually even down here? See it was ratcheting down, it got a low, a high, a higher low, you box it in, and you're in the trade right there on that bar. Okay, anybody not understand a phantom trade? Because I'm here to tell you that that particular trade can make you a lot of money. Because all it is actually from a huge thrust to a retrace. Let's even check and see what the fib is on that. %, really close, wasn't it? Really, really close to a 50%. Okay. Now, when you get a huge thrust up, you're going to be looking for 38%. You're going to be looking for 50%. And as a last resort, you can even look at 61s, but you would have already been short on, the shorter term trend on a 61% retracement, because obviously you're not going to wait for it to come all the way to the bottom and buy it again. There is a shorting time. If this would have broken, for instance, right here, and it did, but it needs to thrust down and retrace, and you would get a red background, then you could take the rollover trade. Okay. And that's what you'd be looking for if this was going to short. But if this phantom area is still stair-stepping up, you want to be buying this area, not selling it. Okay? And you're going to find some really, really good trades. Matter of fact, let's see if this falls in line with my favorite trade. See, it pretty much hit its head right there, didn't it? Didn't even quite get there, actually. So, that actually is a more than 100% trade, which is fine with me because it came into mid-band and keeps on trucking up there. But you'll find that, this type of trade, if you get in the habit of fading it, 5 or even 10 ticks, you'll be amazed at how accurate you can get that trade from here to that box, because it does work. I'll show you that on that Russell trade from yesterday. Anybody have any questions on a good phantom trade now? And remember, the mid-band can be your best friend on that, because you have to go from one extreme to the other and then look for the phantom trade. If the phantom trade doesn't come to fruition, like this one, let's say, for instance, you were looking, at line 6 and you box it in, never got it. Line, 6 to 7, and you really never got it, and then it changed to a green midband. So that's not a phantom trade. Everybody see that? When that green background and that green midband came, that is not a phantom trade. Because if you were looking at this live, let's just look at it. Let's say, for instance, that you're looking first time for a midband or a phantom trade. You've already had like a midband trade, but let's look for a phantom trade. So you're watching bar by bar. Let's see if I can get this better for you to see. Bar by bar, okay? There's your little swing. See how it didn't close below your up candle, down candle, third candle back, never closed below it. So then you just box it in, right? Like that, and you really just never got that trade, see, because it went up. And then you box it up here because you're thinking it's still a phantom. Third bar back, basically right in through there. And see, it never did, and then it turned green. So you never got that phantom. Now, could you have taken a long? Absolutely. We teach this trade also. And when you start seeing the stealth down here after a huge move down, a lot of times you can actually get in on some of those. And, if it's a fake stealth, just don't let it go against you very much. Robert, on your question, no, it's actually easy to see them during the fact also. I promise you it is. because those trades that we call to give an example in the room live, that's not market replay or anything. That's actually, trades that are taken. That oil trade, to give an example, that broke support on Friday, that was a killer trade, and you could have stayed with that thing for a long time. And it works exactly the way we teach this. This is not anything after the fact. What I'm showing you is phantom trades that really happen in real time, and phantom trades that happen in real time. Okay? This is what you're looking for. Now, let's say, for instance, that you only want to make $500 in a day. Okay? Well, let's say that on gold, two contracts to give an example. If you want to just literally ride it for 10 ticks, that would be a $200 trade, right? Okay, and you could keep, not even go for a scalper at all. In other words, just do it like you're doing one contract, but you're really doing two, and just try to go for 10 ticks or a stop. Okay, I can tell you this, that this trade right here that sets up mid-band trades and phantom trades can literally, and I know many people that are with us, that this has literally changed their profit margins and everything, being able to make them. Let's see, show phantom fails and how to see them in advance. Sure. If you have a phantom fail, I just showed you one. This is a phantom fail. See, this is actually blue mid-band, turns to magenta, so that's a short mid-band. You are looking for a mid-band trade. You got one here. Okay, first time after trend change, you get these mid-band trades. Also, one of my ones I'm going to teach today too is when it breaks line 2 on a short, or it breaks line 6 on a long. This is also still a good trade right here too. That's a predictor trade, and you simply box it in. Okay, let me show you how this would trade. Predictor's pretty darn good at seeing these trades. This is a good mid-band trade here. Isn't this a good trade right here? Got a candle up, candle down. You break right across here on that candle right there. Got your stop right there. You got a trade. Okay, that's your mid-band type trade. Let's see, it was going up on the left and it hit support on the right. What made you decide it wasn't going to go up again? On which one, Mindy? Tell me which one. Was it the trade over to the right, or where about what time? At 1307 price, you're talking about like right here, to give an example. Is this a legitimate, mid-band trade right here? Well, like any trade, you've just got to actually watch it and see, is it going to go to mid-band? It did ratchet down. It goes by the rules. Okay, it did ratchet down, and it's going by the rules. So let me ask you a question. Is that a legitimate mid-band trade? Anybody? It is following the rules, right? But did it actually turn into a mid-band trade? It's by the rules. You're absolutely right. It's by the rules. Now, if they break, wouldn't you think, though, that, let's say, for instance, you're looking for a mid-band trade. Okay, you got a low here. You take out your low, right? So if you come back up again to mid-band, would you box this in up at mid-band? Yes. Okay, so what you could do is simply box it in. As you're looking at it right there, that's basically your third candle back right here. If you want to not get faked out, you can even box it right here. Okay, because you still have a scalp even if they break this, if it's going to head down. So couldn't you even box it like this if it broke lightning? And see, it didn't. So then you keep boxing it, or you happen to take a break of resistance, which is right across here, right? Because we call that type of trade when they do break mid-band. But keep in mind that this is still a phantom trade until it's not a phantom trade. Now, what I mean by that is that this is a short background, and until this phantom trade does not work out, this is still considered a phantom trade. Now, does that mean that I already see this stair stepping up? You're even taking out a swing across here. I would probably be long on that trade. And I'm fairly aggressive, but keep in mind that you could have boxed it in. We teach this particular trade to box it in. So you could have gotten that trade, and it turned out to be a monster nice trade. It never turned into a phantom, and it finally changed to this color. Everybody see that? Okay. It's taken a little bit longer to go over these, but I think this is really important because if you will learn mid-band trades by the rules and also phantom trades by the rules, you'll do pretty well. Okay. Will they always work out? They're about 80 to 85% high probability type trades. And they can be trend changes. But also keep in mind too that you can also draw trend lines on your chart. For instance, this had been, heading down, down, down after the open, draw you a trend line across there. See those tops like that? Could that actually be the start of a change of a trend? Yes. Okay. But if it didn't take out phantom and it rolled over, then we would short it. Let's go over to this one over here and let's just see if it works, because I don't trade at 2 o'clock in the morning, but this is a legitimate phantom. You want to try to trade it and see if it works? Gold, let's just do it for 10 ticks, just for the fun of it. Since it's got a good green stealth and everything, maybe it won't work and maybe it will. But keep in mind, though, that we already diagnosed this chart. You have a high here and a low here. You've got a low here, high here, a higher low, but just barely. And usually when they try to take these lows out and then they come back up with a higher retracement, they'll usually end up taking them out. The reason for that is because if this was going to head up, you normally get about a 50 to 61% retracement. Let's say, for instance, you thrust up like this and you pull back something like this. Well, let me get my line. More like that, okay? And then you take off. Yes, you could box it, for instance, and take up. When it comes this low like this, that's usually where they're trying to take out support. So what they do is they try to get the people sucked in. And like I said, you can still take this trade. Like with trend lines and things, you can absolutely take this trade long also. Because that's a good 10-tick trade too. If you just simply, for instance, let's say you were watching lightning and you saw this, you shorted it, and all of a sudden it comes down, but it doesn't take out the low, and then it lightnings up. You could be in on that bar right there with lightning if you want to. I mean, that's a very aggressive trade, but it is possible to do it. But remember the rule, if you actually go against the trend, I would personally scalp it because the trend is still down. Okay. Now, what would it take to make this trend go up? Anybody? Well, I would want it to actually, thrust up, pull back, thrust up, come back really, really nicely and box it in, for instance. Okay. And I'd be looking for, let's say that you missed this entirely. Well, what you could do, this is actually a little support area. So if it ratchets up and changes my background to green and my mid band to green, then I'm going to be looking for a pullback right into here. If it does that, because, what do they do? Lightning, thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, right? Okay, let's see if that happens. We'll trade it. Let's see. I've got it set for 5, but we're only going to do 2. And we're only going to do for 10 ticks. Whoop, 10 ticks, not 2. 10 ticks. All right. And let's see. I don't think I'd be willing to risk 300 to make 2, so I'm going to probably put a 10-tick stop on that. Let's see if it works. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to box it. Let's see, that's a bar up, a bar down. So your box would be right here, right? So let's go ahead and do that. That pretty much did it. See, we had our programmer, pardon me, almost started to cough. We had our programmer actually do this to where basically it draws the box with about a 2 candle. and whatever size chart you're looking at. If you're looking at bigger charts, it draws bigger boxes. Okay. Trend lines, another good way. Let's draw a trend line on it. Another one of my favorite trades. Okay. So couldn't we see if we're going to get a short on this and just see if we can get 10 ticks? Okay, let's just try it and see. Now, I'm not a chaser usually when it's already gone up like this. Okay, and the reason for that is because if you do happen to get into the habit of chasing them like this, you're going to find yourself filled at the top of this box, and then they're going to pull back. Okay, if you're going to trade this aggressively, you're going to want to get it down here when it double bottoms. And that is a legitimate trade when you get a low, a high, a higher low, and they break that swing. That would be lightning. Okay. But always be careful with that one too, because that could be nothing but just a little pop up, come up, make a lower high than this one, and then just head straight down too. That would be very aggressive trading. Now, this is another good way right here, stealth. Stealth will get you in on about that bar, maybe that bar right there. I think it's this bar, because see, stealth's right underneath this bar. Okay, so let's just try it and see what it does. I'm only going to go for 10 ticks and 2 contracts. And you can actually, if you want to, just do like touch plus 2 to give an example instead of a full close of a bar, if you want to. But you'd have to put your stop right here. Okay, there's your trade right there. Let's see if it works. You got a 10 tick stop on it. We're going to try to get 10 ticks. Legitimate phantom. Check the top, it double topped it. Now you could go pretty much to break even. By the time you get up like that, you're up $100 with 2 contracts. Let's see what it does. You got your $200. Okay. Now this more than likely would actually head down from here even. Could you actually box it at mid-band if you want to try to get down to here? What do y'all think? You want to try it? You want to try 10 more ticks? I'll box it one more time. Let's see, region, I need a insert key. We'll try it one more time. This is at mid-band, kind of like we talk about boxing in the room. Let's see if we can get 10 ticks. Touch plus 2. And we'd only go long, actually, if they decide to take out that swing. So let's do it both ways. Let's go this swing. See to the left? Just in case this is actually changing trends. Let's see. So see how that's already worked out, Robert, on your question from earlier, on a phantom type trade? That actually already has worked. Now notice we haven't gotten in this trade just yet. You're testing resistance right there. See what it does. That's resistance to the left. Now I'd rebox this, by the way. See that? See even that little 1, 2, 3 reversal right there? If it does it, that's your candle up, candle down. You can even go down to the next one if you want. Well, I already got it, so let's see if it works. Let's see, what futures do you like best for your kids' account? Robert, Charles is going to do a webinar next week. I saw his title for Thursday, and it's to actually analyze the one, to analyze the futures instrument that you personally want to trade. Because truthfully, I look at the charts and I diagnose them really quickly with lightning. I diagnose them with, are they choppy? Are they have they been choppy for a long time? Are they set for a breakout? That type of thing. That's the way I do it. Now you could move your target out of the way because it looks like it's going to go lower to me, but let's just take the 400 if it gets it. Okay, there's 400. All right, so let's see. Our favorite trades are what? Now, even if it doesn't ratchet down, by the way, okay, you can still box them. Okay, you can still box this if this comes, for instance, if it thrusts down and it comes back to midband. But just be careful with it and realize that if they don't ratchet down, they don't work out as often as they do when they do ratchet down. Okay, but to give you an example, I would be looking for another trade on this one as we speak. We got to let it thrust first now because we've already got our trades. And let's see if we get a retrace. And y'all tell me, yeah, that's actually heading down pretty nicely, really. Okay, we got a red background. What do y'all think? Let's see if we can get a trade. All right, let's diagnose our chart. We've got a trend line we could draw. Let's see if we can get us a trade. And I will box it in again. Now, this didn't ratchet down. Notice that? You didn't ratchet down, but you can still box these in. But remember, if you do box it in, that you pretty much want it to go your way and not take away the most of this. Okay, let's see if we can get it. We're going to try a trade. Okay, so far you have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low technically, but not yet until it closes down. And then we're going to see if we can get a lightning type setup for a trade. Got that going like 10 times, but it's still slow at 5 in the morning. I get up about this time to trade gold, by the way. Okay, there's your low, your higher low, maybe. Let's see if we get a little higher low. That came right to predictor. You really want like a ABC type. So there's your A, your B. We want a C. And let's see if we can box this in. Now, like I said, this is 2 of my favorite trades. We may not be able to get to go over a lot of these unless y'all want to stick around, and I'll stick with the webinar for even 30 minutes extra if you want. But let's see if we can get a high, low, lower high, lower low. So we're still looking shorts, right? Okay, you got a candle up. There's support. There's also support right over here to the left. See it right there? Right there? Let's try for 10 more ticks. Now keep in mind, we're only scalping right now, but you can, if you want to, absolutely run runners too. Notice how that didn't fire that trade yet. Didn't go 2 ticks out plus a confirmation tick. So I may be able to get this higher. Maybe not. Still got the same swing so far. Let's see if we go any higher. Now we can't go any higher than this right here to the left. See this to the left? We can't go any higher than that. Otherwise we could be changing trends. But so far you've got a high, a low, lower high, and a lower low. We're boxing it. Now I would rebox this like this actually myself because you've got a wick there. Okay, let's see if we can get a trade. Still no trade. Let's see if we can get a higher box. See how I'm boxing this so far? I'm just sticking with the way we teach our boxes because, and technically you could use lightning also because you got a green lightning right now, and if you get a red lightning, you could go short as long as you don't take this out. See, now we're getting a candle up. Could you rebox it? You could also look at a trend line like so. And there's your trade. Let's see if it gets 10 ticks. Now, if that gets 10 ticks, we're actually at a $600 bill for the morning for trading for a couple hours. Right now we're 320. Are you worried about it yet? I personally wouldn't be, not yet anyway. P&Ls will fluctuate some. You just got to be careful with them, obviously, but you got to stick with the overall trend. Now, I'd usually be adding one probably if this takes out that trend line, but we won't. We'll just stick with 2. Now, like I said, this is just 2 of my favorite trades so far. This is mid-band box. I'd be moving a target, but let's just take the $600 if it gets it. There you go. All right, so there's 3 trades now so far. Now, let's look and see where this thing's headed. You're still getting higher lows, but you've got a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a higher low so far. Let's see here. Draw a trend line. On the bottoms, just in case they bounce off the bottom. And let's see if we can get another trade. We'll box it in if it actually goes up a little bit, or if it actually, well, if we get a lightning 1 green, or if we get a break, because this is coming to about the time that they trade these quite a bit too. Everybody see that? How many of you trade this time of the morning, by the way? Anybody? Let's see if we can get a trade. We're not going to go this high again, I don't think, simply because you're getting a lower high. So with us scalping, though, we've got to decide, do we want to take like a breakout trade to try to get to this low? What do y'all think? Now, this is not as much my favorite trade. If you got up at 7 o'clock, you want some kind of a kiss and a roll. But what if this does decide, let's get rid of these. You can draw your lines on your chart. Got another line right here. So could this be a little scalp if I break here? That'd be a risky trade to me. So I doubt if I would actually take it, but I probably would if it somehow broke here and came back and kissed like this resistance area. I'd probably take that. Now, if you were to box it in right here, let's say that you just got up at 7:02 in the morning. Okay, you know that you're looking shorts. Well, there's another way you can do this too, and that is you can simply draw a region. Why is my region not drawn? There we go. You can draw a region, okay, and if it does decide to take this out, you could possibly come down to here or here. I wouldn't go long on it though, okay? Simply because to go long, you're going to have to start stair-stepping and go back above mid-band if you could get anything higher. So you want to try that one even and see? A lot of our people get up around 7. Now keep in mind, this is that trade that I talk about that you want it to go your direction only. Okay, let's see if we can get a candle up. We might be able to box this again. There's a candle up. Another candle we don't know yet because it hadn't closed. If it goes down, you'd be able to box it right here, like so. Let's see which way it goes. If this goes up, then we're going to raise the box. This is like trading in real time, isn't it? It's pretty slow at 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay, that's a candle up, a candle down. So let's see, you have candle up, candle down. You'd have to actually break this right here to be the third candle back. You didn't get a predictor, so I'd probably only do it that way if it did decide to go ahead and break that. And that's a risky trade, actually. Let's see what kind of a retrace that is. That looks like about 61 on that full move. Let's just try it. Let's just see if it works. We got a candle up, a candle down. If it breaks line right here where I've got the box drawn, we'll take a shot at it. Now notice that I waited for it to box though, at least, right? Because you had a candle up, and a candle down. That pretty much tells you that at least they're trying to roll over. Now, like I said, this is a little bit riskier trade that I don't personally like. And I was talking about that when they don't ratchet down, you've got to box them in. And if they don't go your way, then get out of it pretty quick. Okay? We got it. See how I did that one with my little 1, 2, 3 rollover? That's not too shabby so far, right? And when we talk about a rollover, that's what we're talking about. You've got to kind of, be trying to retrace and then roll over, right? So that's what you're actually doing. And you take profit right down here. Okay. Anybody remember this trade though in the room that we actually took? Now, what could you do if you were right here, to give an example, and you said, you know what, they're breaking support even. Could you box this in right here? And the answer is actually yes, that you can, but you've got to stay with the trade. In other words, if you walked into your room and you said, you know what, this seems to be heading down pretty nicely, could I go ahead and take that trade? And absolutely the answer is yes on that, but don't let it go back against you. Okay? Remember, we've talked about this a lot of times. If you're going to scalp, to give an example, look at that, we've gotten 3 trades. All right? Now, what about this trade right here? Well, it's already kissed resistance. Okay, let's look at our little 1, 2, 3. Let's see if we're diagnosing this properly. Got a candle up, candle down. You got a swing right there. They didn't close below it, but I'd still leave my box right there on the close because that's that 1, 2, 3 reversal. This one wicked and this one wicked. Now you've got a candle up, a candle down. You could actually redo it like this, just in case, because that would be a 1, 2, 3 reversal. Okay. How many of you traded gold on Friday? We actually even called a wonderful trade on gold in the room. You remember? 759. Look at that. Now, that's scalping trades. Okay. Now, keep in mind that when they start breaking full support and things like that, you don't have to do just 10 tick trades. Even though that already still added up to $1,100, you don't have to do it that way. Okay? Because now what do you got to do? You got to wait again. Now you got to wait for a full retracement, right? Because it thrusts down. So let's see if we can get another trade. My favorite trade would be what? Mid-band trade. Let's get this out of the way for just a minute. Let's see if we can get a mid-band trade. Now, notice you did not take out line 2. That's a risky trade to take that roll over there. I would not take that one. This may drop like a stone and I don't care. But if this does do any kind of a retracement, then I am going to take it. Let's see if we can get something. resistance is right there. See the thrust, retrace, barely takes it out. So there's a swing right here. If it takes that out, we should get a mid-band trade. If it doesn't take that out, then we're going to miss out on probably a good thrust. But your rule of thumb has got to be, though, that you've got to be able to get a retrace, or if you do take these trades, then you've got to put your stop at a swing, and you could give up $200 real easily. Okay. Notice that we haven't gotten a rollover yet. It's not taken line. This is one of my favorite trades too. Whoop, where did it go? Just a second. Here we go. One of my favorite trades there is pullbacks into stealth or line 6 for a long or line 2 for a short. Okay, so let's see if we can get one of those. Now notice you haven't gotten it yet. Those are too shallow to take, by the way. There it is right there. Everybody see line 2? Could you get ready to box this in? Anybody? Well, there's your third candle back. Let's see if let's just see. Third candle. I'm going to do, with this time of day right here, like 7:30, that's after news and everything, I'd probably do my 2, but I'd let it run. See how that hit predictor perfectly? There's a 1, 2, 3 reversal right there. You could get a runner out of the way, put the target at the low, like so, and then just ride the trade. See if it works. Now, so far now we've gone over 3 of my favorite trades. Okay? Don't go with a shallow retracement that doesn't at least get up there and touch that stealth or break it. Okay? The reason for that is because it's just not deep enough. And you're going to end up more times than not giving your money back. Okay? But if it does come, and break stealth, Charles teaches this trade. I've been to, plenty of his webinars also. I don't go to the webinar itself. I just watch him afterwards. He doesn't like me in the room. I don't like him in my room either, though, so it doesn't matter. He doesn't go to my webinars, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so basically, see, we got a nice trade. We got a 1, 2, 3 reversal. We boxed it in. We're trying to get down here. Actually, predictor says even lower, so I'd go ahead and lower it. See there? Predictor. And just ride your runner after that. Okay? Now, again, that's 3 of my favorite trades, but I've actually got 11 on there. You want to see one that I guess we're going to have this webinar. I may change the title of Monday night's webinar to a continuation of my favorite trades. I think I will, because I want everybody to see these trades and know that we call these actually in the room as they're being traded. Okay? But always remember, too, just like I said, if they don't ratchet down, you can box it in, you can do trend lines and things, but then, give it a pretty tight stop. Okay, when they ratchet down, you're pretty good at these trades. See, there's actually more than likely a high energy time of 8 o'clock in the morning. We actually boxed this trade in the room on Friday. This is 7:59 more than likely. Let's see if it's 7:59. That might have been a 7:50. Let's see. Yeah, that's saying 7:52 or so. I think we had a high energy time at 7:50 on Friday, because I've still got the same template up. But let's say that you weren't even in a trade. This is another one of my favorite trades right here, and we teach this one. Okay, let's just say that we're not even in a trade, and we're going to box in the open of the market. And since the swing is down there, couldn't you actually just say, you know what, I don't want to just really take this box, right? Because I got a swing to the left and it's only like 3 ticks away. But what if it breaks support right here? Could you take that trade? And the answer is yes, because that's actually the open of oil. Okay, and you can get a fairly decent trade on those, by the way. Okay, all right, let's see. Talk mid-band by rules. Does anybody not understand any of these trades so far, though? Okay, because these will make a difference in your trading. I can promise you that they will, but you've got to kind of stick by the rules, you know. And if you do get whacked, like right off the bat, just to give an example, when oil, not oil, but the regular market's open, there's another, that's our 8 o'clock. You want to take two more? 8 o'clock box. We'll see. Let's see, if PM turns green, would you close this? Well, Mindy, on your question, what you really want to do on that is you want to actually follow your lightning. And if you've got like multiples, like say 3 or 4 or something like that, you want to be really careful, because $40 a tick can make a huge difference in your P&L quickly. You know, if you pick it the right way, though, obviously it's going to be quite nice to get that kind of a trade, like we did on oil on Friday. Let's see if we get another trade here. Are we going to get stopped out? Let's see here. I'm going to put second swing back right there, and I'm going to put it on exit on close. The reason for that is because they don't take out secondary swings unless they're really in the mood to take them back up. We'll see. We shall see. And by the way, even though this box drew at 8 a.m., could you still take this by moving this? See, you're actually breaking it right there, so I'd actually be adding to it, but you got 4 already. See there? So let's see if that works. Now, I'd be giving up quite a bit of this with this stop, so I put my stop just above that swing, like so, with exit on close. So let's see. So far, we're an hour into this thing. Mid-band by rules, phantom only by rules, minor box at CL market. Okay. We talked about deep probe and pullbacks into stealth line 6 or line 2. Okay. Now, you'd be peeling some of these off, obviously, but, you know, Object Trader will do that for you, too. And could you be moving your stop accordingly to the swings? And the answer on that is yes. Now, one thing that I want everybody to realize, too, is when you've had a huge move down. Remember, we had this on Friday. And do you remember when Charles came in the room? And he decided to go ahead. Matter of fact, we both decided to go ahead and box. Well, you basically got taken out if you use, for instance, here's a trend line. Even see it? It's breaking it. I can see it breaking it. So you can close that. See that trend line is breaking? Okay. But could you get back in this trade at a mid-band? And the answer is yes. You've got resistance right up here. See it? Thrust. So that's resistance. So wouldn't that be a good area that you would be looking for a trade? And we called this trade live. This isn't after the fact type stuff or anything like that. We were looking for this trade. You know, we talked about mid-band being a great trade. Okay. Did it ratchet down? Oh, you better believe it ratcheted down. So couldn't we be looking for a trade as we speak right now and just simply move our region? Just hit our insert, right? And look at our little swings. Let's see. We've got a down candle up. Here we go, up again. There's an up. If this one goes down and it breaks, guess what? You'd have a trade. Could you look at a trend line? I think I missed it because there we go. Turned it on in time. All right, put your stop just above the swing, like so. Take some scalpy coin on it if it even comes down like to a swing even, just so you're not losing. Now, if you're up this much, you really don't have to scalp this thing. You could actually even do this. Just say, you know what, I'm up pretty nicely. Even if it takes this out, I'm happy. Okay. And we absolutely did call that trade in the room, but isn't that an exact trade that I just taught the last hour? But again, keep in mind though, the best mid-band trade is when it ratchets down for a short or it ratchets up for a long. If it goes against you, let's say for instance that it doesn't ratchet down or it doesn't ratchet up, then when you box it, you better look at your minor swings and make sure that you don't give them a bunch of your coin back. And another way to do that particular trade is box it and, just take a shot at one. Okay, let's see here. I want to show before we wrap, and we're going to have this, I'll just change the webinar title for Monday to My Favorite Trades Part 2, because I want y'all to see every one of these trades. Okay, because in that room, to give an example, we get some of these beautiful trades. And, now we miss some in the room because we're watching 4 charts. When I'm watching one chart like this right here, I'm a master at drawing on charts. And I'm usually a master at making sure I get the right trade and everything. Here's another rollover type trade. Could you actually think about shorting that? And the answer is yes. Did that roll over? We called that trade in the room too. This is the rollover at 8:18. This is the one Charles took right here because he wasn't even in the room until 8:25 or so. This is the trade he took right here. But I want to show you real quick another one of my favorite trades, and then we'll go ahead and wrap. I'm going to get this one. Bear with me just a second. I got to get another chart up. How many of you traded Russell after the room closed, by the way? Anybody? Russell actually turned out to be a really, really decent trade. Matter of fact, we got the one, I think, before the room closed, didn't we? That thing had literally flipped and started going up, 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 up pretty early, didn't it? And we got a nice trade. But I want to show you another one that I was talking to Russell as it was happening, and we nailed that trade. Only thing we didn't do is take it because I was actually going out to mow the yard and decided that that was good enough. Okay, but I want to show you the trade. Let's go ahead and I'm going to fast forward and I'm going to get a Russell chart up. I'm going to show you how to see another trade. And this particular trade right here, by the way, can make you a ton of coin. I'm going to change the template on it. I've got the wrong template. Got the webinar template on it. Okay, I'm going to speed this up to like 500 times. I'm going to close this one out, by the way, because I got to get to a certain time because I want to show you how to see this in real time. Bear with it a second. This was pretty much after we closed the room. Bear with it just a second. I'm going to show you. All right, this is far enough right here. Anybody notice how Russell was just really heading up right as we closed the room? Heading up like a big dog. I mean, just a monster type trade and everything, right? Did you chicken out on it, Paul? Well, one thing about it, keep in mind though, that if let's go ahead and fast forward this because this was actually bear with me a second. I'm going to speed this up, and I want y'all to see if you can see it in real time. Because this was about the time we closed the room. This isn't when we closed the room. We closed the room at 10. Pretty monster trade, huh? Look at that. Now, right here is when I started talking to Russell on the phone. And what we were doing, we were diagnosing this like so. Okay. Now, you're going to notice, for instance, okay, on this particular trade, by the way, all right, and it turned out to work exactly like I was telling him it was going to do ahead of time and everything. Okay. Now, does this mean you couldn't have already shorted this trade? Absolutely. You could have shorted the trade already. Okay. But get in the habit, if you see this first thrust, okay, this had gone from a short to a long, so this is first thrust. Now I've got a 38% retracement, it's already blown through it. Okay, I've got a 50% retracement right here, and I want to show you something, because this happens quite a bit when you're trading. Now you could take this phantom trade, by the way, right when it hit the phantom, just like we taught. That's first time in, but you want to grab it right when it hits that shadow. Okay. See how it comes up a little bit and gives you a scalp? Put your stop right underneath the little swing, just in case. Could it be a trend change, or could it just be a really deep retracement? That didn't take you out just yet, but if that closes below that swing right there, you're out of the phantom. Okay, you're out of the phantom. Now, what I want y'all to do is I want you to tell me what you would do on this particular trade. Anybody? See that perfect 61% retracement? I was on the phone with him when this actually happened. And keep in mind that now you've got a background and everything that is, literally red and everything. Could you take a trade, yes or no, on this with this first time if it comes like to resistance, to give an example? Okay, let's try it. We're going to box it. We're only going to go for 10 ticks. This is RTY, so we'll go with 3 contracts. We're going to simply do a region. We're looking at shorts. And we're going to do a little 1, 2, 3 reversal if we get it. Okay, so let's try it. 10 ticks only. By the way, I also, when I draw on charts, and if you want to ask Russell in the room on Monday, if this wasn't actually called live, this actually did roll over right there. I missed it, actually. That would be the bar right there, but let's take it. Let's see if we can get 10 ticks. Oh, 1 tick. Why in the world? Well, never mind. We're not going to get that one. You saw it had 1 tick. That's obviously not going to be a good trade. We got 1 tick, guys and gals. 1 tick. Now, let me show you something that I actually talked to Russell while he was on the phone on Friday. If this decides to get a higher low and a higher high, keep an eye on it. Starting to get higher high. All right. Now, let me ask you a question. If you would have taken this trade somewhere in here where you boxed it in, where's this trade heading? Anybody? Because this is one of my favorite trades right here. This little leg 3 trade. I started to, you can't do anything as far as what I was trying to do was like draw a box on it. I'd have to do it over here. This is one of my favorite trades right there. Okay. And it's also this trade right here, but you've got to look for it to be a quote leg 3 trade. So what happens is, the market takes it down. Okay. You take it up above a swing. All right. And notice that you came to the 61% retracement. So what I told Russell while I was on the phone, I said, this is your trade right here. Right there with that dot. You want to see what happened while I was mowing my yard? I'll just put it on 500 times. Notice we're not trading it. I'm just showing it. Now, could you trade? Even if you walked in the room like it's doing right now, could you trade this? And the answer is yes, but you'd have to box it in or you'd have to do a trend line. I see a trend line, so if it took out this swing right here or right here, could you actually do? Well, not with one tick. Forget it. We just missed it. I've got it running 500 times though. Okay, where's our top of our box? Hadn't got there yet. Hadn't got there yet. There's a trade, by the way. And we missed it. Going too fast to trade it. There you go. Just nailed it. See how good that trade is right there? That is by the way, that's a phantom trade too. If you even walked in your room and you saw that phantom trade, yes, you could take that. Okay? But notice how it hit exactly where even before I went out to mow my yard, I was talking to Russell on the phone, and we actually diagnosed this in real time. Yes, you could have shorted up in here. Yes, you could have shorted here. But when it took this swing out, it was heading back up, and then you can draw your box. And also that was a 61% retracement. Deeper than I normally like to go even on a thrust like this, usually like 50. But couldn't you box it in? You could have actually taken this long down here, but you'd have to be fairly gutsy because it could have broken down. So since the background turned, this was a phantom trade, and you got 10 ticks. Okay, but once it took out Lightning 3, it was pretty much heading up. And that trade hit exactly where that box was drawn. And you're going to find a lot of times that these markets do this exact trade right here. And when you get up there, and it even barely took it out before the close of the market. So right now, if you were getting ready to trade this, what would you be looking for? A high, ratchet it up, a phantom trade, right? Draw your support. If they start taking out the support, then they're more than likely heading down. Got another support level here, and I'd pretty much want them to take that out too. So I'd be looking for a trade either short or box them in long. Absolutely. Okay, so that went over. We'll go over them real quick. Mid-band by rules, phantom by rules, minor box at the open, 100% move or more of the first thrust after retrace. That's that beautiful trade I just showed you. Trend line closes, we didn't really get into scaling in and scaling out. Fibonacci retracements we went over. Scalp with or against the trend. If you scalp them, do very, very tight stops. And we'll go over some more of these even on Monday night, because if anybody wants to look at their charts over the weekend and see that this is not hokey stuff, that this really, really works, I'd highly advise you, to do just that type of thing. Because to give an example, like on this gold trade that was on Friday, remember we closed the room at 10 o'clock. Look at that trade. We called this trade live in the room. We called this trade live in the room. Said box it in. Remember, this is a deep probe. We didn't go over that as much, but could you see exactly where to take it? And the answer is yes. You box it in. You got a candle up, candle down, never took that out. So you've got your box drawn. Let me draw it from over here. And I usually look to the left to trade the right, and I see a swing over here. So I'm pretty much going to make sure I at least take that out, or even look to the left to trade the right. I might even want to take that one out so they don't fake me, okay, by looking to the left. So I'm drawing my box, and it goes up. What do? You draw your box again, right? So it would have been there. Goes up a little higher, right? So what are you doing? You're still drawing your box. So you have an up candle, a down candle. There's your little swing. You could even put it under this one. Okay, that way you don't get faked into them, because fake outs are a pain. But keep in mind that this is now support that was resistance too. So, if you box this in like this, just invert your little box. then you got a monster trade. And that's exactly the way we teach this. I always look at this too. I look at trend lines also. You know, when I break a box, to give an example, I want to make sure I'm breaking that trend line too. Okay? And you don't have to draw the trend line. You should be able to see it. You know, I could tell right where that trend line was without ever drawing it, because you need to be able to just, you know, kind of draw a line in your mind. And you know it broke on this bar and this bar right here. And could you even box it in after that? A little bit more conservative trades right here. Under mid-band. That did a little down candle, up candle. So that's pretty much your candle in right there, isn't it? If you saw support over there to the left, then, you know, make it a little bit larger box. Still get some great trades. Okay? So we're going to do this on Monday and be able to show, look at that mid-band trade. Isn't that a good mid-band trade? First time after a trend change, our rule. Reverse, did it get a trade? It got a scalp. Did it take you out yet? No. Did then, but you got a scalp on that. But what's the overall trend on this particular chart as we were looking at it on gold? It's down, isn't it? All right. I hope everybody enjoyed this. It ran a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but we're going to go over quite a bit more of it on Monday. And let's see, please change background colors on your rules when I print them out. Black eats up my printer ink big time. Black. Oh, you mean on the webinar one? The webinar template? You can actually change that if you want to any color. I'll be happy to show you that on Monday, Robert. Okay, everybody get something out of this today, I hope, because some of those favorite trades really, really work out. Okay, but keep in mind that what you really want to do more than anything is pretty much stay with those trends. Okay, because when those trends are heading down like this, where's your identified swing on this chart even as we speak? It's right here. See, on the left side of the chart. Now, on the right side of the chart, they're taking out this swing, so this is actually where your identified swing is down here. See what I mean? But on the left, this is still, as we speak, you know, a little bit of a downtrend, right? Still. Okay. I'll be available if you need to talk, anybody. Yeah, just go to vipertradingsystems.com to our contact link, and I'll be happy to help. But keep in mind that if you will absolutely look at those type of trades right there and try to memorize as many as you can, that there are some really good trades on those. And when you get these large moves, you know, and they're going a certain trend on that leg one, then draw your retracements and see where it's going on leg three. You'll be able to figure that out. Believe me, I hit that on the money most times. And if they take it out and go up higher, hey, I'm happy with that too. All right. Thanks, everyone. Let's see, on gold, would you have gone long on gold at 10.10 on 6.15? 10.10 on gold? Let's look. Just real quick, and then we'll wrap. 10.10 my time that you're talking about, which is right in this area right here. Could you actually take that, team? Yes, because that's actually pretty much choppy sideways. So at the time, you got an a priori swing right there. You know, you got this one, you got a scalp. You know, until they take this out, are you looking for another yellow bar probe? Remember, we have to ratchet up, and the answer is no, right? But when it comes down to like a predictor, to give an example, you know, predictor, can you box those in like that? Yes. But remember, if they go up and they come back against you, get out of them quickly. Here's another one right here, a predictor. Box in. Do you get a little trade? Probably, at least a scalp. Another one right here. Never boxed. See, it never went up. So keep in mind that when this barely changes to green like this, okay, that basically your trend, though, is still to the downside. They never took this out. This is your leg one. Your leg two never took out, you know, you couldn't redraw like way up here because it never took it out, and then it took out support and it headed down. There's a good phantom trade, by the way, after we close the room. There's a good mid-band trade, first time after trend change. I mean, just think if you just do 2 contracts, or even one, 10 ticks, 10 ticks, 10 ticks at mid-band again, except it didn't ratchet down. That would be a box. So there's trades all over the place. All right. And what is gold doing on Monday? Well, you have a swing over here to the left that's definitely identified. So they are taking out the swing. So it wouldn't have taken this at 3:30 in the afternoon because it's too late. But what are you looking for, team? Even as we speak right now, if the market was open, I would be looking for this trade right down in this area. Mid-band. First time after a trend change. Or phantom. Usually mid-band first and then phantom second. Okay, thanks everyone. Have a good one.